Right now, people are calling for more oversight of Colorado's funeral home industry. It comes after recent investigations of improperly stored bodies at several funeral homes across the state. We have seen funeral home owners face charges in Denver, southern Colorado, and the western slope. Now, state lawmakers are working to re-regulate funeral professionals.
Yes, it was regulated at one point,
Yeah.
and, so we've got questions. Here to talk more about this change lawmakers want to make is our 9 News legal analyst, Whitney Traylor. Thank you so much for coming in.
Sure, there's a lot to get into. This is such a crazy topic.
Yes, okay, so this industry was regulated at one point in time, and then it was deregulated. Why would that happen?
Well, it's a question. So I've done, since the topic came up and we decided to do it, I've done a fair amount of research, and it was deregulated in 1983, and I think there were two primary reasons. One, well, the legislature is saying that the funeral directors were not following the regulations anyway, which is a weird reason to deregulate.
Why not make it more strict then versus,
Right, exactly. So that was one issue. And then the other issue was some companies didn't want these educated funeral directors, because what people don't realize in this industry is there's so much science to it. There's an academic, I mean, you're dealing with people with potential infectious diseases. And so there's a lot of that. And so I guess there were some companies pushing so that you didn't have these strict regulations and you could put anyone in as a funeral director and then pay them essentially pennies. This is what I've deduced. There's a number of theories, but I think the legislature is pointing at the funeral directors are pointing at the legislature. But nonetheless, it was deregulated in 1983, and there have been issues since then, really.
I feel like this is kind of a silly question to ask, but from a legal standpoint, why is regulation of an industry like this so important?
Well, I think this is Exhibit A. What we're seeing and these are just what's been publicized recently when you're finding these bodies. And some of the stories, I mean, buildings are having to be condemned. There's bodies sitting in hearses, just bodies laying around, people getting mismatched ashes. One lady said that, or one family, their mother was, they had her cremated, and they received remains with a 501 jeans button in there, and it ended up being a male's body, and they've never discovered what happened with the body. So the regulation is necessary because this is the Wild West right now. We're the only state in the nation that doesn't have regulation. You have to register as a funeral home. That's it, though. There's no sort of requirements. There's no licensing. There's no continual education. So this industry of any needs regulation right now.
Well, and that's kind of the problem. We're the only state in the country where we don't regulate this.
Right.
And over the years, now we have all these bad apples that have come here because for whatever reason they've been kicked out of other states or they can't practice in other states. And so here we are in Colorado with all of these stories that we've unfortunately had recently. And
people don't want, they say government, get out of our business and this kind of thing. But here, this is a classic example, both on the licensure and the laws against this. So right now, there's really not any significant laws. So the DAs, people have been going to the district attorney saying, hey, can you prosecute? And they're saying, based on what? So now there's, I think, abuse of a corpse, and then they're finding all these white collar crimes. So the tax evasion, the financial stuff. So they're not getting them on the actual conduct. It's sort of the secondary business aspect that they're being prosecuted.
We are seeing the legislature, though, saying, okay, we do need something for DAs to be able to prosecute this out. What kind of legislation is there that's being proposed?
Right, so the Department of Regulatory Agencies, DORA, and the Funeral Directors Association are making these recommendations, and these are pretty serious. And it makes sense. I mean, you're not just there as a funeral director to help people emotionally. You also have to make sure you're taking care of these bodies properly. So what they're recommending is that you graduate from an accredited mortuary science school, pass the national board exam, serve a 1-year apprenticeship, which I think is really interesting, and then pass a background check. So these aren't that severe, and they're saying, look, there's a lot of good people in the industry, a lot of good funeral directors presently. So some people are advocating to grandfather them in. Others are saying, well, that's the problem. These people came from other states, as you said, because the lack of regulation, and they're falling below standards. So, but this is, sorry, Corey.
You're fine.
One beautiful thing about our representative democracy, it's sort of like you see this issue, you can go to your representative, and now they're going to pass some laws. So this industry needs some
Democracy in
more
action.
There you go.
I mean, it's unfortunate it can't be retroactive because we've seen some of these cases that break my heart where these families got concrete or the wrong ashes or kitty litter and the one with the
woman's being left in the
hearse. I know
Yeah.
it's awful.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be following up on this, Whitney. As always, thank you so much.
All right.